Come on. You expect me to believe this? Let's just get this right out of the way right now before we even get into the full review here. I don't believe this for an absolute second, to be honest with you. If Suzuki was actually planning on getting rid of his main character here, personally, you know what? If I am wrong and Sakamoto does end up dying here and the story needs to progress without him, I think that would be one of the craziest, one of the boldest decisions that could ever be made. And honestly, you bet your ass I would be here to see where that would even begin to go. However, I'm realistic. I know the way that a lot of these things work, and to be honest with you, I kind of already have an idea in my head as to, well, actually I have two that I thought of just before coming on camera here that I think make sense as to what could happen here. But to give you an idea, essentially the breakdown is, as we pick up from last week, Sakamoto is still fighting every single villain in the entire series right now. Kumanumi says she would rather just take him out herself, and honestly, at this point, with Sakamoto supposedly traumatized, it wouldn't surprise me if she was capable of doing this. However, Sakamoto is still Sakamoto, so even though he's trembling, he's not on his A game, he's still doing his best to do Sakamoto things like grabbing Kumanomi by the glove, which is also just very reminiscent and a good parallel to when Hyo fought Kumanomi, which I did enjoy how she specifically kind of notes this, and he goes, oh, is this the button? And starts pulling a crane in. It is really cool. Gozu is here, and Gozu with his electricity is a huge problem. Even after he gets hit by a hot-wired car, he gets flung over it. Tanabata is able to destroy the car with his guitar, which, again, you know, reading Sakamoto Days is a sentence that I never thought I would have to say, but sometimes the choreography in these fights are just unpredictable, and it's part of the reason why we love Sakamoto Days. If we do end up getting some kind of big fight matchup style ending after this, I would be more than happy to see what Tanabata is actually capable of, because I feel like he's been a really underutilized character. Something makes me wish we got an arc with him fighting someone else like Nagumo, maybe, you know what I mean? Especially considering that Sakamoto and Torres had their whole little character development style. I feel like I know Torres so well, I don't know much about Tanabata at all. He's only come in to Aura Farm and nothing else, which I mean is definitely, you know, a very Sakamoto Days character thing to do, but I just want more. Hey guys, real quick, if you want to support the channel, make sure you go down to gamersubs.gg/noop and get 10% off your nootropics and energy supplement fix, and we'll get back to the video. Of course, as all of this continues to progress, Sakamoto up against every single person in the order, considering he wasn't even able to beat Torres, is not going to be able to, you know, do anything here. He's gonna get cooked, and he does indeed get the crap kicked out of him. Of course, with Sakamoto also traumatized, like I said earlier, this was the obvious result. However, this is where consequences could potentially happen. I say could because, again, we really don't know what's going to go on. I mean, a couple chapters ago, we just had one of the craziest controversies that this community has ever seen with the tunnel effect. And again, even though I'm willing to accept the tunnel effect in a vacuum, like I said, I don't have an issue with the tunnel effect. I think all of the setup and everything surrounding that entire situation makes sense with Suzuki's writing style. The issue is when we have situations like this where Sakamoto is confronting Uzuki just like he did last chapter that, you know, Rion is dead, bro. He's giving Uzuki a heavy dose of reality here, which is honestly, it's good someone finally did. He's like, hey, the Rion Akao that's in your mind is not real. It's a fake personality. You are using my friend and her memory to justify your terrible, awful schemes. And I would like if you stop that, please. And this, of course, angers Kei beyond belief because Uzuki and Rion, you know, they had their whole runaway star-crossed lovers flashback. And now with Uzuki believing that Rion does live within him, and we've even seen instances where Rion, the personality of Rion, quote unquote, inside of Uzuki has revealed itself, such as in Bangkok and also in the exhibition arc towards the end during the Uzuki battle. Even to the point where Uzuki was launching his big gun escapade throughout the entire country, and the personality of Rion was actually trying to take a knife and stab it into Uzuki's neck simply because this isn't what she wanted. His plan was always to abuse Rion's, personality and then get rid of it, snuff it out of his mind when the time came with this plan. And even though he claims that Rion lives within him, at the end of the day, no, she doesn't. However, Uzuki does display something that the real Rion would only be able to do, which at the same time does prove how insanely powerful his split personality can be. And of course, we've seen this happen before where there is the whole entire logic that split personalities can bring forth entirely new abilities, new physicalities that the original personality doesn't have. However, it's funny to me that Uzuki has all of these crazy things. Not only does he have his split personality, he's also got the complex where his heart is on the other side, and that's how he survives Sakamoto. So again, do you see why it makes me hard to believe that even as I'm staring here at this page of Sakamoto being stabbed through the chest by Uzuki and collapsing and making a whole dead face, that I really don't believe Sakamoto is dead. My theories? Well, obviously, the biggest theory, which I think a lot of people are going to immediately assume, is that this is Nagumo. We have not known where Nagumo has been for the longest time. We still have no idea where he is. We have been assuming maybe he's Tanabata, maybe he's this person for the last couple of chapters now since Shishiba and Osaragi had their big betrayal moment. If this is Nagumo and Nagumo dies here, I mean, I guess that would be better than Sakamoto dying. I would be upset, that would kind of stink. But I just quite frankly have a hard time believing that Suzuki would kill Taro Sakamoto, the main character of the series named Sakamoto Days. Again, if he does it and Shin becomes the new main character, well, golly, I am locked in, strap in my seatbelt, because I'll ride this roller coaster to the end, because like I said, that's an insanely bold decision to make, and it would be crazy to me if that was the case, if Shin steps up the mantle and that's how the series ends. But yeah, I mean, other than, maybe Nagumo being in disguise and this being like a Nagumo death, or maybe this is a very similar thing where Rion Akao's personality steps in and this is all a plan to where she doesn't actually kill Sakamoto, she stabs the wrong side, just like Sakamoto stabbed the wrong side of Uzuki or something like that. It really wouldn't even surprise me if that was, any kind of the case. Or maybe, Akira can get her big moment, because I don't think she's specifically present here, and she has just been, kind of meandering around for the longest time lately. So she's also a possibility of maybe stepping in and stitching Sakamoto up and saving him, or for the last couple of maybe the span of, what is this, 219? Since about 214, 213, I don't know what to expect anymore. But I'll tell you one thing, I really don't think Sakamoto is dead. And if he is dead and I'm proven wrong, again, I think that would be crazy. So let me know what you guys think is gonna happen in the comments. Let me know your theories, and I will definitely see you for chapter 220 when we inevitably find out what the hell just happened. But guys, if you made it this far, I thank you so much for watching. Leave a like as always, and subscribe if you don't want to miss those next Sakamoto Days reviews and the other Sakamoto Days content that I do be dropping on the channel. Definitely go ahead and check out that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.